excited to welcome Ted, Pete and Sid from 9 O'Clock Nasties to Totally Music to chat about their musical career. Welcome, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ted Pepper.
I'm Pete Brock.
And I'm Sid Spud.
Nice to have you on. So how did you come up with the name 9 O'Clock Nasty?
Ooh.
There's it's a Leicestershire thing. There's a terrifying folk tale that grandmas and mums used to scare their kids with about the 9 o'clock horses. In fact, there is a Leicester band called the 9 o'clock horses. And basically what it is that if you don't behave yourself and go to bed and go sleep, at 9 o'clock you get taken away for a life of industrial labour in the countryside.
Yeah.
Which is what the legend was. And it was built around the people who used to come into the city and like this shit and piss, you know, from back in the day.
You mean the Beep and the Beep?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Is it like that?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it was that stuff. So we had the 9 o'clock thing, and
we were going to be called the 9 o'clock horses, and then we decided that we liked the idea of the people who make you get up for work at 9 o'clock are nasty. And also that feeling at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night when things could go wrong, or you could go
right,
home.
One way or the other.
Yeah, and it's that moment. So yeah, the 9 o'clock nasty, the moment when the night could either slide into chaos or could be quite civilized, which is kind of, yeah, a bit of a metaphor for life, really. So lots of different things. It was a throwaway thing, but the problem is once you've created your social media account and you've put out one record, you're kind of stuck with your name. We were going to be called Strix, but that name was taken by an American band.
Yeah.
But Strix would have been a good name, shorter. But yeah, so that's the history. Yeah.
Nice. So how did you all meet?
Oh, blimey. Well, Pete was a child musician. He was torn away from his family by a wicked uncle to play in.
That's right. Yeah,
this is true. I mean, we're not making all of the stuff we're going to say is true.
Yeah. There was actually a guitar teacher.
Oh, okay. He wasn't an uncle.
No, I was 12 years old, and he said, "Oh, do you want to be in a band?" And then he used to make us play working men's clubs to loads of drunk sort of working, and think, you know, covers when we were about 11 and 12 years old. And he used to give us a couple of quid and keep all the money. So that was the sort of early exploitation. But I was also at school with Sid.
We were
at school together.
And Sid was the drummer for, well, these guys were in a band on tour, and I was in Czechoslovakia in Prague, and I'd been kicked out of my band and didn't have a way of getting home. So I was literally living on the sofa of this Czech guy's house, and I heard there was an English band playing. So I went to see the English band, met these guys, and got a job as a roadie.
That's it. Yeah.
So they got me home back to Leicester.
You worked your way up from roadie to the singer.
Yeah. Like no. So it's quite a good rock and roll sort of story. But sad to say that my bass amp is still in Prague in this guy's flat. Of course, I didn't take anything with me. I literally went to the club, saw them play, and then got in the van. So I left. I did have my passport with me, but I left all my worldly goods behind in that flat in Napatince in Prague. So yeah,
they'll be long gone now.
So how would you describe the music you create?
I think people use different words to describe you depending on what they're from. And it's quite important to have labels to let people find you. So words like indie and alternative work, because that kind of, we fit in that. We've been called punk. We're not a punk band, but we would go down while on a punk all dayer.
Yeah.
We play a lot of hip hop type stuff. I mean, it's a real cliche to say we're a real mix, but we're a real mix. I think what we've got in common is all the songs are designed to be short, memorable,
danceable. Hopefully.
Yeah, danceable, and a little bit edgy, I guess, but still full of love.
One of the nicest nicknames we've been given by, I think, 2 separate reviewers came up with the Beastie Dads.
Yeah.
So that's like the Beastie Boys, but older. But I think they might be older than us now.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. But,
so we just put a lot of that anarchic energy into it.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that it comes out how it comes out. You know, the song has to be served, and if it comes out one way, that's because it went that way. You know, there's no
formula, is there?
Well, I think bands that have come through from playing live have to have an easier label because they've got to go to a pub or a venue and say, hey, we're a punk band or we're a folk band to get booked. Whereas because we started online, there was no restriction, so we tended to be more varied just because we didn't have to fit into anything.
And if you put 600 hashtags on everything, you get somewhere.
Yeah. But I mean, I think alternative is probably the best general term. Most of the people who were into us would probably describe themselves as alternative in one way or another. We're certainly not mainstream, but we're not deliberately. We'd like to have a pop hit, wouldn't we? We've just been rehearsing a Justin Timberlake song because he's had a few problems with Justin today, which actually will place this video in time. We're big Justin Timberlake. In fact, you met Justin Timberlake, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's me. We've got pop connections within the band.
We're covering Sexy Back.
Yeah,
and it's come out really
well.
Yeah, you can have a sneak preview.
Nice. So where do you draw the inspiration from for your music?
I think we're just completely soaked in music. We, during COVID, by a lot of very random circumstances, we ended up living together in this old studio that belonged to a friend of ours. And the only real entertainment we had was just playing music all the time. And we're all people who just play music all the time. So we just played all the songs we loved. I mean, and you hear this a lot of people through COVID, where they went back and watched loads of TV series that they fell in love with as a kid and stuff like that.
This should be a Netflix thing.
Yeah. So for
three
us,
guys wash up in an old recording studio. I'm going to write this synopsis.
So I think a lot of it is that we're all really into music and we listen to it all the time, and it just soaks through you. So there'll be, I mean, we do have a bit of a competition for who can find the most obscure reference point sometimes. You know, like from a film soundtrack or a B-side of an old single, and then that will spark an idea that will then lead to something that doesn't sound anything like the original thing. And I think the other thing, which is, is just listening to people's conversations on the bus or in the pub. I mean, not in an intrusive way. We don't kind of go up to people, but the background. When I mean, a good example, we've got a song called "Do Me Too," which was again, you might want to edit this bit, but there was a couple talking about the idea of having a threesome. And they were they were drunk and they were doing it a bit too loud for comfort. And the guy at one point just said, well, as long as whatever you do it to me too. And of course, we immediately got the pen and paper out and started writing that down. It's gold. So yeah, I think really it's just an absolute love of music. And I think, that just comes out, doesn't it? I don't know what we'd be doing if we weren't doing this, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw our respective houses, they're just full of kids.
Yeah. So what's your favourite song you've written and why?
I think we
would get one each.
I think we'd have to have. Well, I don't think we'd agree on one, but I think. Do you want to go first?
I think I always go with the new. You know what I mean? The most exciting thing is the thing that you're working on right at the minute, and we've got a new song called "The Wrong Guy."
Yeah,
and it's got a mad sort of hip hop, 3 hip hop parts in it, and then the other bits are sort of dubby, and it's come out great.
Yeah, and actually in August, a reggae sound system called King Flame from Leicester have done a dub remix of it, and we're going to be releasing that as a sort of summer single. So actually, it will be relevant at the time that this is released. This goes out. That will be our latest piece of music that will be out online. So yeah, The Wrong Guy.
So so no one would have heard it yet, unless they're tuning in August. They might have just begun to be hearing it. Yeah, that's my favourite at the minute.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's always, I like the old stuff, but new ones are always great. And it's we've only rehearsed it a few times, and it's worked really well. Really well.
I'm going to pick a different one just to be. I would say there are 2 songs of ours that have been big changes for us. Like where they've marked a big, like something happened and then there was a before and an after.
Sure.
And I think I'd pick Uncle Nature because it was a song that was a bit left field for us, and it's kind of set the tone for everything we've done this year.
It actually, yeah, it
Yeah.
did. It became a new sound, didn't it? So,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds great. That sounds better than the old ones. Let's make them all
Yeah.
sound like that.
Because I'm thinking back, we played in Brighton in March, and we played in Brighton about a year before that, and I don't think there was any song in the set the second time because all the songs had changed. Because and I think that's a sign of a real health in a band when in a year you can completely change your live set and be happy with it and not feel you've got to play stuff that's a year old or 2 years old. You're feeling really into the new material. So Uncle Nature was certainly something that it's very hip hop, a lot more than the stuff we've done before.
Good video too.
In your back garden. Very natural.
Yes.
And I would say actually for someone who wanted to get into us now, those two songs would probably be the best starting points because they're very instant and very immediate. And if you like them, you'll like everything else we're doing.
Yeah.
What's been your favourite venue we've performed at and why?
Oh, can I pick? Well, we might have different answers. Mine's got to be the Hope and Anchor in London because I always wanted to play there. Like always, ever since the Stranglers played there and all these other bands. You know, it's a real piece of rock archaeology. I won't say history. And that was really. I mean, we did have a bit of a bad time there, though. I'm not going to lie. We had a good crowd, but we did have a bit of a problem because we assumed that as it's an old rock venue that we wouldn't be the first band ever to try and use a smoke machine there.
Yeah.
And apparently we were the first band ever to try and use a smoke machine at the Hope and Anchor, and the manager wasn't very happy.
Okay.
And so I don't think we'll get booked up there
It
again.
set a few things off.
Yeah, I never knew that smoke machines would set a fire alarm off.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
But but it was really, really good gig, like a really memorable night. I think everyone who was there, there were people from London who came to the gig who'd only ever seen us on social media, and I mean, this does sound again really trite. One of the best things about a gig is if you then have someone you've never met before who's got no connection with you and comes up and just talks to you about how they're into what you do. And it's partly an ego thing and it's partly a reassurance thing because I think it really makes you feel, oh yeah, okay, it's not just in my own head. So that will be, I think, one of the best gigs we've done. But have you got an alternative that you'd suggest, either of you?
I like the Brunswick in Brighton.
The Brunswick in Brighton, we always like that because we play in the cellar.
Yeah, it's a great, and they have a cellar dweller night there every month.
Yeah.
I mean, Brighton's got a great music scene, and that is probably the best music thing happening in Brighton at the minute. I mean, there's like 4 really hip, really edgy bands every week. Robert Biker from the Gay Bikers on Acid is the DJ for it. I mean, if anyone who's near Brighton, get yourself down there. It doesn't matter which night, you will see something that will blow you away.
Yeah.
It's a really good. The cheesy chips weren't very good there, though, I would say. But everything else is great.
Yeah.
So if you could perform anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Oh man, I'd like to go back to Prague.
Yeah, Prague's amazing. The people and the culture. I think the problem is that it's not just the place, it's the time. Because we had the good fortune of playing in Prague when not many Western bands had been there. So it was that you were exotic.
Yeah.
And you literally would get on stage to a room full of people who would just go nuts. And that's a great experience. Right now, I would love to play in Philadelphia or Oakland because one of the weird things about music now is that you don't necessarily have a hometown following. I mean, we have got a few people in Leicester and the East Midlands who come and see us, but we've probably got a lot more people in America. Just because of social media, that's where our audience is.
Our audience hotspots are Oakland, California, aren't they? And
Chicago.
Then there's a lot of American places, but also Brazil. Let's get we want to go to Brazil if anyone's listening.
Yeah. So I guess what would be cool would to have because the problem is we haven't got enough money to just take a chance and get on a plane and go out there. There probably would be an audience. But it's just that barrier. So yeah, I'd love the opportunity to go and play where the people who listen to us online.
Oakland seems to be the consistent.
I think there's some really good music in Oakland.
Yeah.
I think Oakland and that Bay Area, there's some really good stuff going on.
You know, with it all being online, you get to interpret your stats. You know, so we can sit on a Friday night and think, oh look, there's 300 kids in Cairo playing a song at the moment, and it's very gratifying, but it's very odd.
There was a time during lockdown where we got plays on a particular college radio station in America, and we had no idea. We didn't send them anything. Then someone just picked up on us, And I was like, couldn't work out why Tuesdays and Wednesday nights every week would suddenly get
Big
200, 300, 400 plays in
Right.
these places, these like no-name places in the middle of America. And not always the same song every week. And it would, that's a really strange thing about the whole kind of online scene, where it used to be very linear and very predictable. Like there was like an escalator for being successful, and now I think it's a bit, it's all a bit random.
And it also means you can be stalked from anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. You can meet odd people all over the world. Yeah, but look, you can turn your computer off and change your name and change your address and
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think North America or Brazil at the minute, because that seems to be where people are into what we do.
Yeah.
I think there is an advantage being a British band outside Britain. We have got a lovely way in Britain of putting down anything that's come from our own country. I think outside Britain, people are a lot more open. I mean, we've also got quite a few people in Holland and Germany and France and Italy as well, actually, where again people who are not backwards in being enthusiastic and coming forward and saying they really love what you do.
Sure.
So yeah, if only we could get travel to these places and someone to book us. So let's hope they're all watching this.
So for anyone wanting to follow in your footsteps, what piece of advice would you give them?
I'm going to shut up a second.
Following footsteps.
Yeah, I wouldn't follow in our footsteps. I think first of all, do not wait until it's perfect. Definitely, because perfection is the enemy of getting shit done.
Rick Rubin says so much great stuff about, this sort of thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think just get on with it and get it out there and don't be afraid,
Yeah.
And don't try and, I think if you try to create a particular thing, but what works for us anyway is not trying to create a particular thing. It does. I mean, quite often Ted will send me something and then I'll mess with it. And when I send it he'll say, "You're ruining it."
What are you doing? Yeah.
No, he'll say it's it goes quite far from the original idea. And I think the freedom to do that is what all proper creatives should be practicing.
Be prepared to experiment. And certainly if playing live is your thing, don't be surprised if you're playing to 4 of your own friends and no one else, and that's okay. It's normal. It takes time to build a following, and you've got to be prepared to act like to be a bit embarrassed and not as much of a rock star as you thought you were, because otherwise you'll never. I mean, I remember you used to be in a band. You used to be massive. But I used to go and watch you play in pubs, and you'd have like 200 or 300 people, and people physically couldn't move. And I was thinking, how the hell do they get all these people? I don't know. It was all your cousins. There's a band in Wales called the Brass Bambies who
we love
really
the Brass
into.
Bambies.
And again, they play in a small venue and they pack it out rather than playing in a big venue and it looking empty. So I think
the way venues are sort of suffering, there seems to be something positive happening in these really small venues. I'm talking like 80, 100 people, maybe even less. And those places, if you've got a small following like that and you can fill it up and you can get your 80 there, it feels like there's 1,000.
Yeah.
And that'll keep you enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Feel you're making a good connection with 80 people, but it feels like 1,000.
Yeah.
Of course, by the time everyone's filmed it and put it, 1,000 people have seen it anyway. So
well, that's it. I mean, any gig we do, we maybe play to 150 people and then 5,000-10,000 people see the video.
Yeah.
So, it's at the end of the day, the important thing is that you create a good atmosphere in the room so the people who have come to see you have a memorable experience, because ultimately it's not about the people who didn't come, it's about the people who did.
Yeah.
If only one person comes, you've still got to do the best gig you can for that one person. But my advice would be don't wait, crack on.
I like it. So finally, what's next for you?
Oh well, we got chatting to some other musicians who gave us some advice on how to be successful. And one of the bits of advice they gave us, which we've kind of really stuck with, is this idea of like TikTok, every month a new release. Don't release a 5-track EP. Don't leave it 3 months. Just you've got to be regular, because that's what keeps the algorithm going. So we've got pretty much forever a single every month. The next couple of singles are actually quite unusual because they're collaborations with other people. We don't normally do that, but there's a guy from Canada called Prey Switch who has worked with Pop Will Eat Itself and a few other kind of name acts. He's worked with an international megastar actually, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah.
And he kind of approached us and he's remixed some of our stuff. So that's coming out in July. And then in August, we're doing that piece with the King Flame sound system, which is just mad. And we could never do it. The beauty of that is it sounds like us, but we could never make those noises. It's just like a totally different viewpoint on music. And then back again from September, October, November, we've got new singles coming out, and the album probably late November, early December, which is it's called This Is Crowland, which is really the summary of everything we've done this year. So at the end of every year, you get the kind of the a few extra tracks and the singles all together, and that's what seems to work best for Spotify. Sadly, you kind of have to work backwards and release the singles and the album at the end if you're going to get the audience. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
So lots of stuff. We throw more stuff away than we release because we write a lot of music.
We are fortunate that we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, lots and lots of ideas. In fact, it's overwhelming the number of unfinished bits and bobs that but when we get to it as we come to it, and it is a nice thing, and the collaboration thing is a real pleasure, because you're not just isolated on your own as a band. You're all part of a sort of a collective of people trying to do and enjoy music. So working with people like King Flame and with Stacey, that's the Prey Switch guy over in Canada, and we've worked with some American friends of ours.
Last year we had the Margaret Hooligans came to visit us in England, which was amazing, and there's a Quarks in from Brighton. So I think we've actually, one of the best things about being a band is the friends we've made along the way.
That's right, yeah. I am the Unicorn Head. My friend's band Mage. I have to do that. You may cut it out later, but he wore our t-shirt at Davo. So what was it on? Uprising.
Uprising Festival.
When they played at Uprising, he was wearing 9 O'Clock Nasty t-shirt. So I said I'd reciprocate, but you can. And the occasional gig. We're not a live band, but we do play occasionally, and it's a lot of fun when we do.
Yes. Looking forward to following your journey.
All right, thank you.
So a massive thank you, 9 O'Clock Nasty, for joining me on Totally Music. If anyone would like to check out the music, I'll leave all the links in the description below for you. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, cheers. Thank you.
Don't care, you're over it.